Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to our live Q&A session where we're talking about all the things that happen when you are trying to connect because we believe that an opportunity shouldn't belong to only the loudest person in the room. And we believe that people skills are learned, not inherited, and confidence is built through clarity, not performance. For those of you who have joined us before, you know that Cultivate exists for people who do the great work but don't always know how to talk about it. So today we are going to dive into helping you gather relationships that grow through intentional check-ins, building trust through low effort, high impact actions, and understanding that being approachable and respected are not opposites. So we've had some questions that have come in through our Google form. And so thank you for those of you who have submitted those. If you haven't, go ahead, you can drop them into the chat. So the whole premise of this is that these are anonymous questions. These are opportunities to ask things that you may not fully be comfortable with sharing with other people. Guess what? That's what we're here for. So I have these questions. I'm not going to say who they're from because I actually don't know who they are from. So with that, we'll dive right into our first question and we'll keep an eye on the chat as well. So the question is, what if I reach out and they think I'm annoying? Now, this is a really common question. And I sometimes feel this myself too, because you feel like when you're having to follow up with someone and maybe follow up with them twice, it feels like you're bugging them, right? Does that kind of just resonate with you? Does that feel accurate? You feel like you're bugging someone. But remember that most people aren't annoyed, they're busy. And sometimes people will miss your emails, they'll miss your text. That happens. It happens to the best of us. A gentle nudge, consider it as a gift, not a burden. So keep that in mind when you are following up with someone and you're reaching out to them, either whether you're reaching out the first time or you're reaching out to follow up with them. It's not a bother. Sometimes they just need that little extra nudge. And also remember, if this is your initial outreach, a clear intention and a small ask makes that message easy to respond to. If you're not asking a favor, you're opening a door to a connection. It's an opportunity for you to connect with someone. Now, let's say that this is me doing this. Well, I actually have two scenarios for you to consider. Number one, sometimes there's scenarios where someone introduces you and says, "Hey, I'm Amy. I want to introduce you to Tom. Tom is awesome. You should meet so and so." Let's give them a name, Bob. Bob and Tom. We're going to introduce Bob and Tom together. So if you are Bob getting the introduction, then you need to be the one to respond first. If that introduction is, "Hey, here's connecting you two, so you have a phone call, you guys should grab coffee, you should get to know each other," whatever that is, I want you to be the one to respond and say, "Hey, Tom, really nice to meet you. Thank you, Amy, for the introduction. Amy, I'm moving you to BCC to save your inbox because Amy doesn't want to be on all the conversations back and forth about scheduling." And then say, "Hey, Tom, it's really great to meet you. Amy's told me so much about you. I love your work on tacos." I don't really know what else to say. On tacos. Would love to learn more about that. Hey, how about we grab coffee next week on Tuesday or connect for a call on Wednesday? Now, what I like about those scenarios is number one, you've paid attention. You know what Tom's good at, tacos. You're saying thank you to the person who introduced you, and then you're moving them aside and saying, "Hey, I've got this from here." Number three, you are giving opportunities to connect with Tom. And by giving those specific dates, I always do this when it's myself as well. If someone puts a specific date, I'm almost apt to respond faster because A, I know if I'm available or not. I can look at my calendar and say, "Yes, I can at noon this day. I can meet for virtual this day. I can't meet for lunch at this day, but I can meet for coffee this day." So like you already carved out those days for me, but I'm also really apt to say, "No, I can't make those days. Let's reschedule," because now I think you are holding those dates for me. So just keep that in mind. If you are the one being connected, someone is saying, "Hey, I'm going to connect you to someone," you need to respond. By you not responding, you're showing lack of interest. That other person, sure, they probably want to connect with you, but it's also not their ask, right? They're not the one making that ask. They're not that one making the connection. And so it's really up to you as the one who's being introduced to put those two things together. Hopefully that makes sense and hopefully that helps. And so the other scenario I want to talk about is if you're emailing someone for the first time. Now, clear intentions, small ask makes an easy message easy to respond to, right? So the thing you want to say is you have something to offer. I'm going to give you a little pep talk on this. I don't care if you are a college student reaching out to the president of the biggest company in the world. You have something to offer them, and I want you to keep that in mind. And you're asking for a connection. You're not going in and saying, "Hey, I want $1 million right now. Come in with the perspective that you're asking for a connection. Yes, maybe you want a job with them. Yes, maybe you do want $1 million. Whatever that might be, bridge that gap first before you really put that hat of I need a job hat on. Make that connection. Hey, I really love your work that you've done with this. Can we connect to talk about it? I, in fact, can give you a great example. Someone reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, hey, I see that you're a public speaker. I've been looking to get into public speaking more. Would you be willing to chat with me to give me any pointers on how I might do that? Sure, no problem. I would be happy to give you the time to do that. So keep that in mind. Most people are like me. They're willing to help. If you had alumni connection, that's also a great way to do that because there's a commonality right there. So keep that in mind that people are typically are willing to help, but come with a clear, concise ask. Don't just say, hey, I like the work you do. Can we grab coffee? If you have something that says, hey, I'm a emerging leader in my company. I am new in PR and I really love the work you're doing. Just give them that little bit to make that connection on why you want to connect because you want to make sure that it doesn't sound too much like a sales call, right? You want it to be something that is an opportunity so they can make the connection on why you landed in their inbox. And most of the time, and I will tell you, this isn't just me, I've had plenty of other people who've had the same experience. Most of the time, people respond to you. If you have a connection like an alumni, you went to the same school, you're from the same city, whatever that might be, if you have that connection, that always makes it just a little bit easier, but add that in, but it doesn't mean that that counts you out. So keep that in mind that you're probably overthinking it and they're not thinking anything of it, right? You're overthinking it and making sure every word is perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It needs to be clear, concise, and it needs to get in their inbox because if it doesn't, the connection can't happen. As we say in my household, the answer is always no unless you ask. The answer is always no unless you ask. So if you're not sending that email, guess what? The answer is directly no. You never know what might come if you said they might say yes. Okay, let's move on to our next question. How do I introduce myself without sounding braggy, boring, or like a fraud? This one is always an interesting one. And sometimes I get frozen depending on what scenario I'm in, where I'm like, oh gosh, what am I supposed to talk about? But continuing to practice, and that's something that I do myself. I practice, I practice, I practice. Now, I focus on impact over job titles. I have been in scenarios where I didn't have a job. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. Maybe I didn't have a corporate job with a title. Maybe I had founded one of my companies last night's game and I wasn't quite sure how to explain all those things yet. So I wasn't sure what I was supposed to say. So sometimes always I focus on the impact over job titles. What you make possible, not just what you do. Because what we're trying to do is engage in conversation. We're trying to create some dialogue with this other person. We're not trying to end the conversation. And if you say, I'm in accounting, where are we going to go from there? Give them something. Well, by day, I'm an accountant, but by night, I really love to go line dancing. It's one of my favorite things to do. I line dance 5 days a week. My favorite dance is, I don't know any line dancing songs. The Boot Scoot and Boogie. I don't know if that's still a thing. We're going to go with that. Little Brooks and Dunn. But you pick whatever that is and you share that. You might volunteer with a nonprofit. So you could say, my day job, I'm an accountant. After hours, I volunteer with Girl Scouts of America because I really believe that women deserve opportunities to be out in nature and create entrepreneurial activities. It's really cool that the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of America have 90%, I'm making this up, by the way, 90% enrollment in college education. Something like that, right? You're talking about the impact you're making as a human. We want to know you as the human. We don't care about you as the job. We want you as a human. And I will tell you, as my job has changed, the job becomes less important because the job changes. You don't change. You are still at the core, you as that human. So keep it simple, keep it human, keep it specific. Remember that one sentence beats a resume monologue. And that confidence comes from your clarity, not this performative action. You don't have to sell yourself. Now, I am going to sell something. It's free, so it's not really a sell. But I'm going to tell you about something we have called Impact Intro Ivy. It's on our website at thenetworkofchampions.com. And Ivy is there to be a chatbot and help you. She's programmed to have all these phenomenal questions to ask you to help you come up with your most impactful intro. And then you can turn that into a very short intro. You can turn that into a LinkedIn about me. There's a lot of opportunities in that impact intro, Ivy, for you to take that about you, that human side of you, and make that intro that is not about your job title, but about you as a human. Now, remember, if you were on the opposite side of this and you asked someone, what do you do? Which is a terrible question, but we will go back to that in a second. But if you ask someone, what do you do? And they said, well, I'm an accountant. That doesn't give you anything. But if someone got up there and said, hey, I do these things, I'm involved in this stuff. We want to be concise. We want it to be clear. I don't need to know your sales numbers for the year. I don't need to know about how many countries you visit on average, unless it's something really interesting to go with your hobby. But you can keep it clear and concise. We don't need the bio. We're not selling ourselves here. We're selling the intro to us right here. Then we open the conversation and we have a chance to talk more about us and them. Be that curious person who gets to know them as well. So remember that you're not selling yourself in its entirety right here, right now. You are making that intro so that you can get to know this person, but you're going to get to know them. They're not going to know you all about you in the first sentence. Make it short, make it sweet, make it simple. Okay, let's go to that third question on our Google form. How do I follow up without feeling desperate? Now, we kind of talked a little bit about this in the first question, but follow up is continuing a conversation. You're not begging for attention, you're continuing a conversation. And follow up sets you apart from so many people. I read a stat that only 24% of people send a thank you or a follow up to a job interview. So think about that. You can be better than almost, 76% of the candidates for a job if you simply send a note following up. So let's use it as an example. I like when I do a follow up, let's reference something that we shared. It turns this from a cold message into something warm. So if we're talking about a job interview, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I'm really excited about the opportunity that lies in front of me. Thank you so much for sharing about your company's charitable giving programs. I really believe in companies that invest in their employees and in their communities. And so, see, we're pulling in stuff we talked about. If this was a coffee chat and we got together and you'd say, hey, you know what? I hope that you have a great time this weekend at your son's birthday party. That shows you were paying attention and you're retaining that information. It doesn't have to be some grand, thank you so much for sharing your company's budget strategy for 2026 that incorporates blah, blah, blah. No, we don't need that. You could say, thank you for sharing your budget strategy. That really has helped me for my own at my office. But you don't have to dive into the numbers. You don't have to dive into all that. Take something that you experienced there together. Hey, I hope your sweater's okay after the waiter spilled a glass of red wine down it. Whatever that is, keep that in mind. It shows you paying attention. Okay, how else do we work when we're following up? Remember, we're not begging for attention. I love to offer value and gratitude. And that helps shift that tone. That gratitude shifts the tone of we're building a relationship. It's not I need something. It's we're building a relationship. I'm going to follow up with you. And I like to say that you want to pour into relationships before you need anything. We all need something out of our relationships, right? We all need something from a friend, whether it's the cookie recipe, whatever that might be. Maybe I need you to pick up my mail because I'm out of town. Maybe I need you to open a door for me for a sales call. Pour into those relationships when you don't need anything. Now, here's a great example. I used to work for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and we would get tickets as an employee, two employee tickets to each game. So every year I'd have friends who were like, hey, we really want to come to a game. Give us whatever you've got. Okay, great. But then you would have people who would say every 4 years or 5 years when the Yankees came to town or the Boston Red Sox, hey, I know we haven't talked in 6 years, but hey, can I have your tickets to the Yankees game? No, you can't have my tickets to the Yankees game. You haven't called me in 6 years. You have not poured into me. You've not even so much as sent me a text that says, hey, I hope you're doing well. That connection doesn't have to be some grand effort of, hey, we need to meet for coffee every month. If you really like the person, then do that. But you don't have to make these grand connections. You hear a song that makes you think about something we talked about, or you're watching sports and you see my alma mater come up. Hey, saw Notre Dame had a great game yesterday. Congrats. It doesn't have to be this big thing. But once again, don't come back every 6 years when you need something and not be invested. So take those little times. Those small touch points are so key. Okay, this is a great one as well. Everyone seems to have their people. How do I break into circles that feel closed? This has happened to me as someone who's moved a lot. This is really hard to do. And I totally understand that you feel on the outskirts. And I'm sorry that you feel that way. I have felt that way too. But keep in mind that no circle is truly closed. Most of them are unintentional, if I'm being quite honest. Now, let's talk about a literal circle and then a figurative circle. Literal circle, be the person when you're in a networking event or you're at a work event or you're just hanging out at a party. Stand in a shape of a croissant, not a donut. Donuts are closed off. Croissants have that little opening. That gives people an opportunity. If they're uncomfortable, maybe they don't know anybody, maybe they want to talk to somebody else. That gives them an opportunity to work their way into your conversation. So that's the literal way to do that. But the figuratively way to do that is remember that curiosity is your entry point. Hey, it was really nice to meet you. Can you share with me that restaurant that you were talking about? Let me know. And then they can respond back and let me know if you have anywhere else you want to go. I'd love to grab lunch sometime. Let's go to one of your favorites. Can you introduce me to somewhere new? Start with one person, not the whole group. I find that that's an opportunity, and I've made those mistakes where you're connecting with the whole group and you never really get to know everybody and you never really get a chance to connect. You just sort of become part of the herd, if you will, which maybe is what you want. But personally, I want to have a little bit of connection. So for me, start with one person that you really clicked with. And then you'll get into the rhythm with them. And then you're going to get included so you can participate in the whole group. So keep that in mind when you work those things. You don't need to fit in instantly. Just bring something interesting to the table by being you. You are incredible just the way you are. Don't try to be somebody else. There's plenty of those other people already. You be you. Okay. How do I build real relationships if I'm shy, introverted, or socially anxious? This is also a great question. And it's a real feel. It's really hard to put on your big girl pants and go to a networking event or go to a big social event for work or whatever that might be if you're feeling anxious and uncomfortable. So let's help you get comfortable. A few things. Once again, we're going to go back to small, steady touch points. Those be big draining moments every time. You also get to choose the rhythm. So once again, it's those follow-ups. It's those, hey, I was just thinking about you. I saw that your team played on Saturday. Great game. So that's how you prepare and you kind of go in. Remember those small touch points. Maybe it's ahead of time. If you're going to an event with people you already know, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Friday. Women, lots of times I've done what are you going to wear? What kind of shoes are you going to wear? It's going to be cold out. What is this event attire? Those are all great ways to kind of have a combined interest or a combined maybe fear of showing up in the wrong outfit. But also, I like to prepare a few go-to questions or stories. So building kind of that scaffolding around it helps with the nerves. So my favorite question is always, what are you working on that you're passionate about? That gives someone something to talk about that is not their job. If it's depending on the time of year, what are you doing for spring break this year? Do your kids have spring break? What do you like to do for the holidays? What was your favorite holiday present you've ever received? Where are you going this summer for vacation? Are you going to be able to get away? Those kinds of things. Keep those little ones depending on what season we're in. Build some of those out. Great spot to use ChatGPT, of course, or your favorite AI tool. Craft a couple of those questions. I also have on the website last night, or the networkofchampions.com. We have 45 go-to conversation starters. Pick a couple of those out that really feel natural to you and go ahead and put those in your purse. Put them on your phone, screenshot them so you can review them before you walk in. If you go to the bathroom, you can take another look at them. Make yourself comfortable. And remember, in a social setting, let's say we're at a party or a charity event. And I used to do a lot of these and I would go by myself at these charity events. And it's scary. But I would go with a couple of key questions. And I'd go with remembering the auspice of there are other people there who are really uncomfortable chatting with people. There are other people there who know no one. So where do you find those people? Maybe in line for the bar. Maybe you're talking to somebody in the bathroom, whatever that might be. Find a group. People are not totally uncomfortable with you walking up and saying, hey, if I dive in, What are we talking about? You can be comfortable and confident in those scenarios, even though I know you might be shy or introverted or even socially anxious. And that whole idea of doing all those things is completely just downtrodden on your spirit. Know if you have to do those, the more you do them, the better you get. I can promise you this 100%. I will tell you a quick scenario. I did some work once upon a time in my career where I was launching a lot of things in Chicago. And I had to go to all these events in Chicago by myself. I didn't know anyone there. I was there for my business. I didn't know. And so I had to go into all these social events and it was terrifying. I will tell you, I definitely made like 3 trips to the bathroom during one cocktail hour because I was having a lot of anxiety about it. But I armed myself with a few key questions. I hung out in the bar line where I was able to talk to 1 or 2 people who were kind of on their own as well, and I just kept doing it. And the next year when I came back to that same event, there were people I knew that were there. I didn't know a ton of people, I didn't know the whole room, but there were a few that I knew. So I continued to work that and continued to make sure to grow that. And the last one I wanna say here is don't overthink everything you did afterward. Don't walk away and rehash it and be like, "Oh my gosh, did I said they had a dog and they really had a cat? Oh, I called their hamster the wrong name. I had the fact that they were from Ohio, but I said they were from Kansas City." Don't rehash it. No one thinks about you as much as you think they do. No one's gonna walk away and say, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe Amy got that wrong, that we're from Ohio, not Kansas City." We will not call her back. No one's going to say that. That is absolutely not the case. So keep that in mind that don't overthink everything you did afterwards. Don't rehash it. Go and be confident and celebrate what you did. Okay, last question. How do I start if I feel like I have nothing to offer? How do I pitch myself in ways beyond my resume? This is a really great question as well. And you always have something to offer. If you and I sat down together, I don't care if you were in kindergarten, and I am not in kindergarten, clearly. If we sat down together, I could learn something from you, the kindergartner. You have something to offer me. Keep that in mind. You have something to offer. You may not have a ton of experience to bring to the table, but you have life experience. You bring curiosity, you bring enthusiasm, you bring perspective. All those things are valuable. I want you to know that you bring experiences, you bring the things that maybe someone doesn't have. You have experiences that I don't have. You can share those with me. I will tell you on our team calls, we learn just as much from the senior people on the team as we do from those who are not. We all learn from each other. I love learning from our interns. It's one of my favorite things to do because I don't see what they see. Our algorithms are different on all of our social media. They're not watching the shows I'm watching. They're not reading the books I'm reading. They're bringing me a different perspective of what they see. So remember, you do have something to offer. And I would also go back and say, ask thoughtful questions. So maybe you're not pitching yourself necessarily, but when you're engaging in a conversation, be curious. Pretend you're a reporter if that's what you have to do. Put on your reporter hat and start asking questions. Maybe I'm meeting with the president of some big company. How did you get into what's a big company I can think of? We're gonna go with, I don't know, a big music company. How did you get into the recording industry? How did like, what makes you stay? What are some of the challenges you face? Once again, go to that 45 conversation starters on our website at thenetworkofchampions.com. And we have those on there. Those are great questions and a whole slew of them just like that to ask those questions because you don't need a solution. Sometimes offering attention is enough. Now, I want to make one thing really clear too. If you are in a scenario where maybe you're looking to meet this key person, when you're having conversations with people around them, maybe it's a job fair, maybe it's something like that where you really want to go talk to that company. Don't ignore the other companies because you don't know what kind of opportunities may come from that company. They could know that person really, really well and put in a good word for you. They could have some amazing opportunities that you didn't even know existed. So don't ignore the people around you just to get to your goal person. So remember, if you feel like you have nothing yet to offer, focus on your impact over job titles. Once again, what you make possible, not just what you do. Ask thoughtful questions to build those connections faster. And remember, sometimes offering attention is enough. Feel free to go ahead and use Impact Intro Ivy to create that impact intro, no longer an elevator pitch because that's boring. Impact intro to talk about how amazing you are. And I do actually have one last question that's snuck in here and I didn't see it. So here we go. My university has big networking events, not smaller, intimate options. I'm intimidated. Any words of wisdom on how we approach these sessions? So we already kind of talked about coming to these things with key questions, but also maybe how do you prepare? If it's a networking event, do some research on who might be in the room. So likely it's going to be maybe it's a big head of a company or alumni members, or maybe it's just a hey, this is a business college meetup and it's all your colleagues. Come with some questions, be prepared and do a little research before if it's an alumni group or someone like that where you can kind of just get a little gist. So let's say if I was a student and I was going to a networking event with a host of alumni, but I'm in the business club. They're all likely going to be business people. So you can come with those questions on what steps did you take in your career to get to where you were? Was there something you did in your career that you wish you could take back? Is there a step you took that ended up being the wrong step? Did you take the wrong job? Whatever that might be. Come with some of those curiosity questions because they know that you're going to ask questions. So if you're looking at this from a college student perspective, that's how I would do that. If you're having a one-on-one with someone who's, you're later in your career, they're later in their career, maybe it's even a colleague from a different business or someone's introduced you, do your research. Do a little bit of a light research, right? LinkedIn is a very public facing thing, so it's not like you're doing some deep internet stalking. You're just seeing what they've done and use that to ask great questions. People love to have great questions asked of them. But also remember when I connect with someone, I'm like, I want to learn from you. Even if they're my peer, even if they're my higher up, I want to learn from them. And so I go in with that curiosity hat and I use that and those questions to help me find a common ground as well that we can talk about. You like to travel to Japan? I love Japan. I've been here, here, and here. Where have you been? What do you like to do when you're there? What do you like to eat? Do you have a favorite restaurant? I need to write this down. That kind of stuff. Find those common ground, which helps create a relationship and helps sustain that relationship because now you guys have things in common that you can connect on later on as well. Make sure that afterward you follow up with a thank you email. You follow up with whatever you promised you'd talk about. Send over that restaurant recommendation. Send over your grandma's cheesecake recipe, whatever you've talked about. Send over that shirt you were wearing that they loved that you bought off of Amazon. Make sure you do that and follow up. Now, I will obviously always be here for questions at thenetworkofchampions.com. We're so grateful that you were here with us today. We hope that this helps give you additional confidence, but also as you get you prepared for connecting with other people and building relationships because it shouldn't be hard. It should feel like you're at ease. So follow us for additional practical tools and ways to create communication, confidence, and do it all with ease. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.